Hello, great people. How are you? I hope you're fine from wherever you are. And welcome back to our channel. For those who have not subscribed, please just hit the button and put your bell on so that when we upload a new video, you'll be the first one to see and you can share with your friends. So today, actually, I came in because one of my friends who is looking for a job in the UAE was asking me something about new labor laws. Yes, and I just decided now because he asked and I gave him a response. I could do a short video about this so that another person out there who doesn't know these few things about the new labor laws that came into effect starting this month, early this month, can also get something. So, yeah, we have new laws, and the Ministry of Human Resources and Emeritization is actually putting them into effect starting the first week of February, so 2022. So I'll split this into four because these laws affect four things basically. Um, they affect one, the work models for people working in the UAE. Number two, they affect the work permits that are issued. Number three, the employment contracts. And number four is the leave. Varied types of leaves, and those ones are not so much affected. They didn't change a lot, but these are the things that I'm going to discuss today. So I will go straight to the first one. That is the work models. The first work model, there are six work models under the new labor laws. The first is a full time. Full time means that you're going to work for one employer. Maybe if you've agreed 48 hours a week, you're going to work maybe eight hours a day for 6 days, or whichever number of hours, 4 days, 12 hours a day, and you are going to work for this person on a full-time basis without looking aside or going to another place. The second one is a part-time model. Part-time is whereby the employer goes into an agreement with you to work for certain number of hours or certain days, while you're not working other days, or you're working few hours in a day. So this is as opposed to working there full time. The other one would be temporary model, and a temporary simply means like you are not permanent. I mean, like, you are not going for a 2 year or 3 year or even a 1 year contract. You are just there for a short period of time, maybe uh, just after the completion of the work that you're doing, you'll be leaving the company. And this is, this is a new one. This is a new one. It's not been there before. The other one would be flexible work, and with flexible work, mainly it's like what people call split shifts. Like, you come in when there's a lot of workload, and then you go off when there's no work. So the employer might choose for you the days that you're going to come, or the hours of the day that you're going to work. Let's say like from noon to 4 p.m. because your work is busy that time, or another time that the employer, or another day that the employer is going to choose for you to work. The other one is remote work. Remote work basically means that part or all the employees are working from another place that is not the workplace. Maybe working from home, or working from, like someone working from their own space, not at work. And the last one would be is the job sharing. This is number six, job sharing. And job sharing is where the employer comes, a job sharing model, the employer comes and divides the tasks, the work that you're supposed to do, and puts uh, each one with their own tasks so that you complete at the same time or different times. So that's a job sharing work model. So these are six work models: full time, that you are working fully for someone; part time, you are coming in a few hours or a few days in a week. We have a temporary, that you are just into this job for a short duration of time, not a long one. Then we have flexible, That is, you come when there's a workload or there's a lot of work for you, and then there's remote and there's job sharing. So those are the 6 work models. So now we go to the second issue about the new labor laws, and that would be the work permits. Again, the work permits are so many, they are 12. So I'm going to go straight and discuss or talk about these work permits, so that at least when you go into a new job, you know, like, I'm supposed to be given this type of a permit in this kind of a job, or I'm supposed to be working under this kind of a model. So we got now to number 2, the work permits. The first work permit is a permit that an employer is allowed to get the employee from their home country into the UAE, from another country into the UAE. That's the first work permit that you can get. Like someone employing you directly from where you come from. Like for me, I come from Kenya, so directly from Kenya to come into the UAE. That's the first work permit. The next work permit would be transfer from a transfer from one employer to another, that is registered under the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratisation. Either you're being moved from this company to another, or you're coming from that company to this company. So that's the second work permit. The third work permit is a permit for those people who are working under the residency of their relatives. Like I'm a husband, so a permit given to someone like my wife. That's also another type of a permit. The other permit is temporary permit. Temporary permit basically means that you have this permit just for a few months or a few days to complete a certain task, or a certain job. And this is different from another one that I'm going to discuss. That is a project work permit. Project work permit, someone is hired from outside the country to come inside the country, that is the UAE, to fulfill the tasks that pertain to a certain project. This is different from a temporary work permit, because a temporary work permit, you get it when you are in the UAE. So you should draw a line between these two. The sixth one would be part-time work permit. And like I talked about part-time, if you are under part-time work permit, means that you can even work for more than one employer at any particular point in time, because maybe you'll be working on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday for this employer, and then another employer some other days of the week or hours. Maybe this employer you're working for in the morning, and the other employer you're working for in the afternoon. So there's also a part-time work permit, and this again is a new introduction in the labor laws. Then we have juvenile work permit. Juvenile work permit is for those under the age of 18, but they have passed the age of 15. And this again is in companies that are allowed by the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratisation to contract such kind of people. Such ages between 15 and 18 years. The other one would be there are so many. There's a golden work permit. The golden for someone who is holding the UAE golden visa. For example, we have doctors, we have engineers, we have people with certain talents, investors. Those ones have the golden. They will get the golden work permit, and their visa is going for 10 years. So the permit might be either in any duration between. It will can still be the same, like 3 years, 2 years, depending on the employer and what they decide. We also have the training and employment permits for students. And these ones are given to institutions that offer or train and employ students, and they are recognized by the ministry to be doing so. We also have permits for citizens from the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, the JCC. That's another different permit that is special for them. And we also have the permit for nationals for but for training, you know, national work permit for trainees. These again are not students. They are issued to institutions registered with the ministry that wish to train citizens according to recognized scientific qualifications. Very different for the nationals, but they are not students, but they are being trained in certain scientific qualifications, maybe post university, post college, such. And then last but not the least, we have self-employment permit. This is of someone who does not work for any person, any company. They are not under any institution, and they meet the criteria for being granted a self-employment. They are not drawing salary from any company. They are just independently working independently, doing their own things. They hold what you call the self-employment permit. So those are the permits. There are 12. There are so many, but the main ones are full-time, the part-time, the temporary, the project work permit, the students work permit, the juvenile self-employment, and those who hold the UAE golden visa. Those are the main ones, of course. And for the nationals, for the training and employment also for the students. So that's the second thing. Now we go to number 3, the employment contracts and how it changed, how it's changing with the new labor laws. So again, in the employment contract, all the contracts that were unlimited are going to change within 1 year of taking into effect of this new law, are going to change to limited contracts. So even if you are under an unlimited contract, it's going to change automatically. Within 1 year, your employer is going to make it change to a limited contract. And this limited contract will be for a maximum of 3 years. It can be for 1 year, 2 years, but a maximum of 3 years. And it's going again to be renewed. So this is where you have to get it clearly. It's going to be renewed for the same period of time, or a shorter period, or a longer period. And once it's renewed, let's say like now you are having 3 years and it's renewed again for 3 years, the first 3 and the next 3 are going to be taken together when the company is calculating your end of service or your continuous service when you're leaving the company after 6 years. So they are going to be put together, and you're going to be either paid your end of service or another benefit as a whole. The other thing in the employment contract, what you should know, what should be in the employment contract, and that this has been there even before, should be having the name and the address of the employer. That's the first thing. Then it's going to have the name of the employee, the nationality, the date of birth, and then other necessary information that shows your qualification and your capacity as an employee. It is going to show your occupation in that company, or the activity that you perform in that company. It's going to show the commencement date of your work. It's going to show where you'll be working exactly. So you cannot be having an employment contract showing that you'll be working in Dubai, for example, and you are deployed in another place unless it's very special. Then it's going to be having the number of hours that you're going to work, and number of days, let's say in a week. It's going to be showing your off days, your leave entitlement, your probationary period. Like some companies will employ you and then tell you you're going to be on probation for 3 months, under which you're going to be reviewed whether to be kept as a permanent staff, or you're going to be discontinued. So if the probation is there, 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, is going to be there. In that same contract, there'll be the terms of termination of the contract, including the duration. Like if one party wants to terminate the contract, like you want to resign, or your employer wants you to leave your job, what duration, what notice period they should be giving you, or if you want to leave, what notice period you should be serving them. The other thing would be the number of warnings allowed, whether written or verbal. And then The other one would be your salary, that is your wage, and supplements and other allowances. Everything should be in that contract. Like if you are getting a basic salary of 2,000 and an allowance of 700 and other things, they're going to be in that contract. And the other thing in the contract would be, I talked about the annual leave. And again, according to this new law, and even before, this one can be amended. There's a form that both of you sign, the employer and the employee, to amend these terms. Like if you want something changed in there and it's agreeable by the Ministry of Human Resources and Emiratization, you can change. You can change, but it must be a mutual agreement. So that's something that you have to note, that you are not tied. You can discuss anything with your employer anytime, and you can discuss anything that you want to discuss with them. Okay, that's about the employment contract, changing from unlimited to limited, and a maximum of 3 years, and being able to renew that, and all the details. That many other details are going to be in the contract, but the main ones I've just mentioned. So the next thing we are going to go to is the leaves. And in the leaves, basically, we have the bereavement, the leave. Upon the death of your loved one. So for husband and wife, it's 5 days. 5 days. For a sibling, for a parent, for a grandparent, and for your children, for example, it's 3 days. And this is taken from the day of death of this person. So if your relative passed on or your loved one passed on, you have to file for that leave from the day of death of that person, so that the companies vary. Like a company might decide to give you more days and or give you days after the death of this person to go to your country and bury your relative, but it's like that. Then we also have another leave. I don't know how many days it is exactly, but we have parental leave, like just after the birth of I confirm that I think I'd seen it somewhere. Just a moment. Yeah, for 5 days you'll get a parental leave, to take care of a child who has just been born. And this is given either continuously or intermittently up to the time the child gets to 6 months. So you can decide you're going to take your 5 days on the 5th month of the baby being born, or on the 1st month or the 3rd month, or you are going to take each month 1 day for 5 months. So you are the one to decide on that. Then again, we have study leaves, and these are for people who have worked for their companies or for their employers for a period of at least 2 years. You are entitled to 10 days to sit for your examination in an institution, an educational institution that is state approved by the government. So if you are studying and you've been working for a company for at least 2 years, you can take study leave every year for 10 days to just sit for your exams or prepare for your exams or do another thing. There are also other leaves that other companies give, so we'll not end it there. But these are the ones that you should know, especially the bereavement, because there are people passing on, and they are confused on whether to take leave or whether not to take leave. Whether you're in probation or not in probation, you are entitled to bereavement leave. Again, the parental leave, whether you're a father or a mother, you are entitled to the parental leave. The other one is the study leave, and of course the annual leave. That mostly it's for every company. Is every year you will get an annual leave of certain number of days, varying again according to the employer. But there's that minimum that is set. So basically, these are the laws you should be knowing about. Just to insist, the work models don't matter so much, but the work permit, the employment contract, and these leaves, you'll be scratching your head every time. And if you get any confusion, you can consult from people who know these things better, and you can always consult with the Ministry of Labour from wherever you're working from. Yes, so today I just had to come at night to just give you that. I once again remind you to share this with your friends, especially those working in the UAE or those that are looking for work in the UAE, so that when that time comes, you are employed, you don't get stranded, you don't know which way to go and where exactly to start and where to end. Thank you so much. Have a nice one, and remember to subscribe, share, and comment. And let's see you another day. Bye bye.